My name is Carolyn Fries. I'm running for District 4 City Council. I'm originally from Northwest Indiana, where I was raised on a farm by my parents, learning the hard work of cleaning stalls and baling hay and things like shoveling snow in the winter, and I do not miss that at all. Had a strong involvement in math and science in high school and found out I had talents in that area, as well as a natural curiosity for how things worked, which led me to earn a mechanical engineering degree from Purdue University. Moved down here in January of 1990 and worked about 10 years at AT&T Paradigm as a mechanical engineer, where I fought very hard to keep our manufacturing folks, purchasing department in particular, from taking our injection molded plastics overseas to China. Unfortunately, after I left, that did happen. Since then, I've been living my platform by starting companies here that create jobs and continuing to use local suppliers in my companies, as well as being very active in the neighborhood associations, my kids' schools, and also watching the money at home and in my businesses. Thank you very much. Again, Carolyn Fries, District 4.
Thank you, Carolyn. Darden Rice.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Darden Rice. I won the District 4 primary out of 4 candidates with 46% of the vote, with my plan called St. Pete Strong, which is strong businesses, strong neighborhoods, and strong city services. For years in St. Pete, I have lived, worked, and been deeply engaged in issues important to our city, our identity, our way of life, and our economy, whether it's been establishing the Green Cities program, advocating for universal curbside recycling, working on clean water protections, healthcare reform, mass transit, and being a core participant of the People's Budget Review. The business organizations in this community have scrutinized my background, my vision, and my plan, and I think it's notable to mention tonight that these business organizations, such as the St. Pete Chamber of Commerce and the Pinellas Realtors Organization, have supported me in this race. What's more important is to have your support, and I look forward to our conversation tonight and hearing your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Darden. Carl Bruce.
Good evening. I should tell you that with the lights this way, you all are just some blur back there. Don't expect any eye contact, because I can't see any eyes. I've been on City Council a little bit more than 4 years, and I've tried to work on job creation in a series of ways, trying to recruit businesses to town, trying to reduce bureaucracy. I've run a small business. I've got 35 employees. It's a small enough business that the paperwork of government lands on my desk, and frankly, that's one of the things that we can make a difference in. My district is essentially downtown and midtown. So I've worked a lot on how do we turn around Midtown, passed several initiatives that relate to housing, and we can talk about those later on. And then I've been happy to work on a whole series of energy efficiency things that save us money and are good for the environment. And we have to find ways where we have multiple wins, because all ideas that are free or save money are welcome.
All right, thank you, Carl. Sharon Russ.
Hi, my name is Sharon Russ, and I guess I'll probably be a little bit more colorful, but I'm running for District 6, and the reason why I'm going to be your representative for District 6 is because I have been a resident of District 6 for a very long time. I'm a very grassroots person. I raised my family there, and I'm very interested in what's happening in District 6. My goal is to make District 6 a very viable part of our city, which would include improvement in housing, education, and bringing innovative ways for our children to learn. I'm a very big advocate of technology. I think that technology and the arts integrated into our schools will produce students that will have a future to work in our city. Right now, I'm over the Gianna Mola Pregnancy Center. That's a grassroots organization. I started this organization because I'm a single woman myself, mother myself, and I wanted to go back and give and educate other women in our community in order to help them to be successful in life.
Thank you, Sharon. Amy Foster.
Hi, my name is Amy Foster, and I'm running for City Council because I have the skills we need to meet our city's goals. I'm proud to have earned 56% of the vote in the primary in a four-way race and have nearly every endorsement as well. I currently manage 39 states to increase the number of women in science, technology, engineering, and math. We do that through helping organizations leverage local resources and collaborate. My entire career has been dedicated to helping people and solving problems, and that's what I want to do as your next council member. I have a three-point plan for the city of St. Pete: building safer neighborhoods, creating jobs, and preparing our next generation of leaders, which is really key if we're ever going to attract more industry here. We have to make sure that we grow our local businesses. I understand that 64% of new jobs are created by local businesses, and that's really important to me. I've had every campaign event at an independent business, and I've heard a lot about complicated processes and homelessness affecting our city. So I'm ready to get to work and help make changes in those areas.
All right, Amy, and Steve Gallagher.
Hi, I'm going to fix this here. I'm Steve Gallagher, candidate for City Council, District 8. I've got over 15 years of retail experience, 30 years of business experience, and like many of you, I'm in a local small business. I'm the candidate that can relate to the local business community. My first business was a music store. I started off with an 800 square foot location, and within 5 years I had a 10,000 square foot location just from growing the business. I also ran the technology wing of Guitar Center Hollywood, which is their flagship operation. I learned how the big guys did it, and usually it was at the expense of the small business operators that they put out of business. I currently own a music production company here in St. Petersburg, and I employ local musicians and singers. My custom motorcycle business also employs local artists and craftsmen, such as painters and airbrush artists. As we move forward with our community redevelopment area plans along major business corridors, my background as a retailer and businessman will be a voice of experience at City Council. Thank you for your time and consideration.
All right, thanks, Steve. Let's get to the questions now. And I should say that, of course, the focus of tonight's forum is on local independent businesses, the arts, and sustainability. Okay, first question, let's go to Chip Kennedy. Any plans to improve parking options for owners and employees along Central Avenue? One business owner wrote a question into us saying, it's simply not an option to break from work every 2 hours to move your car. This is also a deterrent to would-be customers. Any suggestions on how to improve that?
I think the answer to that is reliable mass transportation, where people will be able to know that they can get on a rapid transit bus, get to work, and get home, and can rely on that transportation. That's one of the reasons why I'm very supportive of Green Light Pinellas, which is the 2014 referendum. From the point of view of small business, whether it's your employees or your customers, you need to have a way to have those people get to you and get back conveniently. And I think Green Light Pinellas is the answer to that, and transportation.
All right. All right, Lorraine Marcus, same question.
No, yeah, it's not going to work. I agree with that, although I think it's going to be a hard and long-term shift to really get people to drop their cars totally and go totally transit, although I totally support Green Light Pinellas. Another idea might be to have more kind of like large collector parking lots for shuttle service to our areas where we work, because again, you're absolutely right, it doesn't work and it's really quite expensive unless you get those usual parking passes to park at the meter. So I think a transitional idea might be have collector areas where everybody goes and parks, and as part of our transportation, we have short shuttles to different areas so that you can feel comfortable, you know you can get to your car quickly if you need it, but then also you relieve that congestion on the streets.
Carolyn Freeze, Central Avenue, parking.
With the recent changes along Central Avenue as far as the new zoning and whatnot, I think there'll be opportunities as new developments go up along there to include parking as part of that. And it should be a requirement from the city to be able to do that. And also I do agree with Marge that it's a good idea to have areas where you can park outside of Central Avenue and then take a shuttle of some sort in. And that is something that I would support as well.
Thank you, Darden. Rice.
Great. I'm passionate about mass transit. I'm on the board of the Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority, and I'm also one of the leaders of Green Light Pinellas. And the key is to develop centralized parking areas where people can get out of their car and then get on a on a bus or a trolley to get to their work. I'm also a big part of coming up with our comprehensive downtown waterfront plan, which would also work to get us to stop looking at our waterfront as a place to build more parking lots and move this to parking lots and have people get out of their cars and be able to get to businesses and stores more easily. I do think people who have purchased something at a store should be able to show a receipt to get relief from a parking ticket. I also think that we should incentivize free parking for people who have hybrid cars. We do have one in my household. And electric cars to incentivize people purchasing and driving fuel-efficient vehicles. I think there's lots of creative ways we can deal with this issue.
Thank you, Jordan. Crowd nurse, same question.
I should mention that the downtown plan doesn't include another parking garage at some point, and that will be one of the solutions. We probably need to discount more aggressively the parking on the roofs of the parking garages we have. One of the goals that's difficult is you really want the parking right in front of stores to be for customers. So we've got to find ways to get the employees to park a little bit farther away. In fact, in our own city, you may have seen the code enforcement folks who work at Central and 4th. They park at about Central or 1st Avenue North at about 7th in a city lot. But as we redevelop and march that redevelopment farther west, I think we have opportunities to build some garages. Obviously, the transit is a piece of it, but I think we're going to have some garages along the way, and those will have to be some sort of shared parking where as a business you pay some share to essentially rent parking spaces.
Thank you, Carl. Sharon.
First of all, I'm very pleased with what's happening on Central Avenue. I think Central Avenue has become a very integral, innovative part of our city, and I hope that we can expand that. It's a beautiful area, and when I'm on Central, I do notice that there is a problem with parking. I think if we could come up with ways to solve that with maybe parking garages or extended space, and also the transit. A transit system would be very good for people coming from across the county who could, just be dropped off there and they can shop. And if the transit is working like it shouldn't be a long time before they have to wait to be picked up to go back to their destination. As a resident of South St. Petersburg and mass transit, I know that there is a problem for people who are transportationally challenged, and it takes about 2 hours to get from South St. Petersburg to Clearwater. So I think if we work with our transit, we can really do a good job to help areas like Central Avenue, which is very good for our city.
Thank you. Amy?
I'm going to try this without the microphone this time. I agree with all of the other statements about reliable mass transportation as well as centralized parking areas, but one of the things I've heard a lot of local business owners talk about is how unrealistic it is to go out every 2 hours. So while I agree that you would want the parking in front of your storefront to be for customers, then you need some way to address running to your car every 2 hours to put more money in the meter. One way I would look at addressing that is our residents that live in the downtown area have parking stickers that allow them to park over that 2 hour time limit. Maybe that's something that we could do for our city business owners as well.
Steve Young.
I too will forego the microphone. I'm also a strong advocate for Green Light Pinellas. I think that will will solve a lot of our transportation issues, and I think it's a great solution for customers that are coming to shop downtown. As far as the shop owners, I think that the permitting system, like we do for residential people, is a good idea that we could implement pretty easily.
Okay, great. Just realize that it takes a while here with 8 candidates here to answer these questions, so if you can answer them shorter, that'd be awesome as we go forward, so we get some more questions in here. Okay, this is to Lorraine Marcus to begin with. A city council resolution passed this year established a sustainability council and endorsed the idea that sustainability incorporates the 4 E's: economy, environment, social equity, and efficiency. Is there a specific policy that you can think of that would make every action taken by the city seen through the prism of these 4 E's, if you will?
A policy to like join all of the
Yeah, exactly.
E's together?
Yeah.
I honestly do not have a single focus. Of course, just the whole way that we're looking at the waterfront master plan visioning is really going to play into that sustainability thing, which is going to incorporate the 4 E's. So I would say, as a basic policy to look at right now, as something that's all encompassing in a visionary way, waterfront master plan visioning.
Thank you. Carolyn Reese.
I don't know about a specific policy, but in particular, something that's very near and dear to me is, economic growth as far as job creation and business creation here. And I think being able to do that on a responsible level, where you're not creating businesses here that are going to harm the environment, that will do a lot to actually solve all of those. So being able to create companies here that create jobs, that help with the social equity, bringing up our education to the standards such that everyone is able to get a job. I think the economic development is really the key factor here that will lead to creating all of those.
Thank you. Jordan Rice, the 4 E's.
Yes, in 2005, Carl Nurse and I brought the idea of the Green Cities designation to Jamie Bennett, who was on City Council at that time, and went on to be adopted by the city. I think the Green City program is something certainly that the Sustainability Committee could adopt. By the way, I completely support the People's Budgets Reviews of Sustainability, the creation of this committee. But the number one thing I think we ought to look at is the implementation of universal curbside recycling. We know that we can save money, we know that we can save space in the landfill, we know that we can sell this material on the market, we know that there are ways where possibly it can create jobs, it can save money, and it's about as sustainable a policy I can think of that the city is not doing. When I work to create green cities, I don't think my work is done yet until the city starts looking at cost-feasible ways to implement universal curbside recycling. We are the only city, major city in the state of Florida that does not have this basic service that people expect and want.
Thank you, Jordan Rice. Carl Nurse.
I should say that I was the council member who sponsored that resolution to create the Sustainability Council. And in my sense, I hope it works rather like when I worked in the legislature, where you had to do an economic impact statement when you passed a bill. And it forced you to stop and think about this. Is it good for the economy? Is it good for the environment? Does it promote social equity? And I think that kind of thought process is useful. I did also want to mention that what we think of as green jobs or clean jobs, energy efficiency, renewable energy, that industry is growing at 5 times the rate of the economy as a whole. So you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know one of the ways you grow an economy is to encourage sectors that are growing at multiples of the economy as a whole.
Thank you. Sharon Russ.
Well, my idea would be for a policy would be to integrate the city council and the city government into arts and education and technology. I think that in order to build a sustainable city, we need jobs for our future children. And I think that technology right now is a very big industry. My son is a teacher at Johns Hopkins Middle School, and we look for ways in order to get children's attention to keep them learning. And we found that technology is integrated in arts into the curriculum. It really challenges children, because right now times are changing, children are changing, and the way that they're learning are changing. So I think if we come up with a sustainable policy in the technology and arts, which would be very good for our environment, we could, that would be a good policy to allow our city to get involved with education and technology.
Thank you, Sharon. Amy Foster, the whole idea of the 4 E's.
The work I do every day is about equity, and I am really excited about the opportunities to increase the number of green technology and infrastructure improvements in our city. I was a therapist by trade. I didn't go into science, technology, engineering, and math because that was my passion. I chose to go into this field because I understand that whether you have a high school diploma, a 2-year degree, 4-year degree, or trade certification, that this is a way for people to make living wage jobs, and that's what we need more of in our city. I think we can use some of our penny for Pinellas dollars for infrastructure improvements in this area, and we've already started some projects like that I'd like to see more of, like using sewer waste treatment in order to fuel some of our vehicles.
Thank you. Steve Gelfand.
To me, the key to sustainability is clean energy. I think we need to really embrace the solar energy. If we'd have taken the $1.2 billion that we've given to Duke Energy to build a nuclear power plant that they're not going to build, we could outfit 250,000 houses with enough solar energy to run not only their own households, but be able to sell some back into the grid. And I think that would have made a massive difference in our economy. We're the Sunshine State. We need to live up to that.
Thank you. And Jim Kennedy.
Thank you. I supported the Sustainability Council, but I'd like to focus on my minute on social equity and first basically acknowledge the passing of Dr. David Welch. I had the privilege of working with him on the Community Alliance many years ago, and what he brought to the community is something that should be acknowledged, and what he leaves behind, and obviously a very involved family. But I'd like to then move that to a program of St. Pete Together, which I started last year with the concept of attempting to emulate the Community Alliance, but have it broader than the Community Alliance, which was restricted to basically a white side of the table and a black side of the table, and to bring as much diversity together as possible in St. Petersburg, in St. Pete Together. And I'd encourage you to look into that and maybe be a member of it next year.
Thank you, Jim Kennedy. Let's talk about the arts now. And let's begin with Carolyn Fries. What's your position on government funding of arts programs? How much should or should not the government help in that respect?
I think one area that we can definitely help the arts, and actually all of the city, is increasing our marketing budget. The arts are a business like any other business cluster, whether it's the arts or it's a science-type cluster, a medical cluster, whatever. It's a business. And something that the city has not been able to do very well because of budget cuts is be able to market our city and everything that we have to offer, whether it's the technologies, the companies that we have here, our workforce, our arts departments, and our arts programs. So I think that's the largest area, and I would definitely support increases in the marketing budget to be able to help promote the arts. Because like most businesses, I don't necessarily support government selecting, as you will, winners and losers as far as, determining who a good artist is and who they should support or who they should not. But I think bringing people here to see what we have to offer as a whole is a good thing. And being able to get those folks here and then meet their diverse interests is something that we have very strong that we can offer.
Jordan Rice.
Respectfully, I disagree. I think we do a great job marketing the city and marketing the great arts community that we already have. We need to grow it. We only are funding the arts at $175,000 a year. I support taking that back to the $300,000 level, and even a greater level than that as the economy improves. That money is spread out over 23 organizations. Compare us to Sarasota, who gives $1 million in grants to 40 organizations. We know that we have to invest in arts as an economic driver. Every dollar that we invest, we get $5 back. It's a no-brainer. There's nothing going on about the government picking winners and losers or telling you what kind of art to make or to buy. That's nonsense. What we know is that we have a great, thriving art scene here, and that the way to help it grow is by continuing to invest in it in a smart way, because we know that St. Pete can be a great destination for the discerning traveler because of our arts, but it also makes our city a great place to live.
Thank you, Jordan. Carl Nurse, the arts, funding or not?
I believe that one of the great things about the arts is that it makes you imagine and it makes you think. And one of our great needs is to reinvent ourselves, and so it exercises that part of your brain. I don't think that we would want to promote an individual business, but you want to promote a corridor, a cluster, a community, and it's important not just to promote the arts within our community, but frankly, it can be a real attractor to our area. I should mention one thing, that they've done a study as to why do businesses relocate to an area. The number one reason is that they want to live there. And so it's not, we think it's tax breaks. It's actually because people visit and say, I'd like to live there. And so I don't think it's very hard to justify why it's good for the soul and good for your wallet to promote the arts.
Thank you. Sharon Rice.
Arts is something that I'm just really excited about in our city. As I look around and I see the growth of the arts in our city and our community, and I think it's wonderful. And I think funding for the arts would be, finding ways to fund the arts would be something that I would really work with our arts community to bring about. My idea is to sit down with the arts community, talk with the schools, and because I'm very into education, because I know with education, socioeconomic situations change, and finding ways to ingrain arts with education, it could really bring about change in the way our children learn. Again, education is really my heart, because as a single parent, I know that in order for you to have a good future for your children, you need education. So ingraining arts and technology into our schools and looking for ways to combine that would be one of the things that I would bring to the council.
Thank you. Amy Foster.
We know that creativity drives innovation. I couldn't agree with Carl Nurse more. I'm from Louisiana, and one of the things that really changed post-Katrina was that we stopped being a sugar and oil economy in New Orleans. And you know how they did that? They attracted people to move to the city that were tech and innovation startups because they loved the art, they loved the culture, and they loved the food. And so it really started to change the types of people that were moving to the city. I couldn't agree more that we need to invest in this area. We know that for every $1 million spent in the arts, there's a $775,000 that are multiplied throughout the entire county. And cultural tourism has some of the longest stays that you can see in a city, 6.3 days. Consider that to another area where the arts aren't as rich. It's an area we can continue to grow in.
Steve Gallup.
Having been a performing artist most of my life as a musician, as well as a metal sculptor, I really enjoy living in St. Petersburg because St. Petersburg has really embraced the artist community. I think that the $175,000 that we spend, considering the size of our arts community, is pretty anemic. I think we could tap into some of the large local businesses to provide more revenue for the arts, and also to help us provide some more venues for artists to show their work. An example would be the BB&T lobby downtown. It's a beautiful lobby full of nothing. Let's share that space with some local artists and give them an opportunity to show their work.
Jim Kennedy.
Thank you. Yes, I support funding the arts, and I think an example is what we did with Mr. Collins, where City Council had the funding to hire Mr. Collins to do a study to establish that the arts are an economic driver, take away the guessing game of it, give statistics as to how much people do spend when they come to the arts, the benefit that our city gets from being the arts destination for the Southeast. Those are all great things to have besides having the benefit of living in a city that's with the arts. That's obviously something we all get to enjoy on a day-to-day basis, and the quality of life of having the creative class of artists around is something that we need to encourage, and we've done that also with the art district, where people can live, work, and have their art as the main thing. So the arts are very important to our community. Thank you.
Lorraine Marcus.
Yes, I totally disagree that we're marketing properly enough for the arts. Talk to Mr. Collins himself. We are not reaching out to the beaches. We are not reaching out to the county in general, our local but farther away art folks. So we need to do a better job in marketing. Yes, I think government priorities should include arts funding. I love the creative placing kind of concept where artists are living and working in the same place, but there is not enough money for that priority. I myself was a beneficiary of the Pinellas County Arts Council when I used to be an artist in residence for 9 years. We lost that. We lost so much support for the arts. We need to support the arts by government. We are not doing good enough job marketing except for the biggies, and we have a whole lot of work to do, and I am meeting with Mr. Collins on Friday.
Okay, we're going to try to do one last
May I
question.
do a 30-second rebuttal, please? please?
No, you can't actually, Carol. I'm sorry, not for this situation here. Okay, we're going to go to, hopefully we can get 2 questions, at least 1 question in. If you can do it quicker, we can get 2 questions in. Darden Rice, we're going to begin with you. What specific business would you like to see open along the new 34th Street corridor?
Off the top of my head, I think the 34th Street, especially the south corridor, could use a lot more nicer restaurants, locally owned restaurants, maybe even some high-end restaurants. So I'll keep my answers short.
Thank you. Carl, nurse, 34th Street.
34th Street is the corridor that has the largest parcels of land available. And so it would not be unreasonable to get, 1 million square feet of offices and thousands of jobs in some of those locations. And so I would target folks who need a lot of land to bring a lot of jobs.
Chairman Russ.
I would target technology companies with the idea that we would have a population or educated enough for workforce, young people to support that.
Okay, thank you. Amy Foster.
I'd support both corporate headquarters and retail and restaurants, which is what the community in South St. Pete has asked for.
Steve Galloway.
Top of my list would be restaurants. I live a half a block away from 34th Street, and they're really, other than fast food, there's very few choices. And again, I'd like to see a lot of small businesses move in, to have some diversity of retail.
Jim Kennedy.
I agree with Mr. Nurse as to there being a lot of potential there because there is a lot of land that could be structured to be a very strong employment base. And especially if you get a strong employment base, that will lead to restaurants. But obviously, in talking to many people down there, there is a desire to have a variety of restaurants in that area. And I think we had a study that showed us something about like 75% of the people that lived there was leakage, and they were either going downtown to eat or they were going to Tyrone to eat. So the market is there, and we just have to figure out a way to stimulate it to get it started with some restaurants. And once that can become a home base, then that'll definitely help the area.
Lorraine Martinson.
I agree with Amy Foster. The residents are already speaking. We just need to listen to them. They want restaurant, retail mostly, and some other businesses. But they're already speaking. We just need to listen to what they want.
Carolyn.
Restaurants and retail are great, but let's face it, folks, they bring in low-wage jobs. What I'm interested in is more things like Ceridian, payroll services. We've got the SPC campus down there. We need to bring in manufacturing, technology, and businesses. They're going to create high-wage jobs.
Okay, great. Last question. If they answer this quickly, that'd be great. Let's see here. We'll start with Carl Nurse, of course. What city department is most in need of reform and why?
The housing department. It's not even close. It's overwhelmingly obsessed with federal regulations. I think it spends money worse than any other department.
Sharon.
I agree with Mr. Nurse. The housing and the economic department would be what I would look to improve. Because I'm in District 6, which is very in need of those services.
Amy Foster.
I think affordable housing is really key to growing our city, but I also hear from a lot of business owners in particular that our code zoning and permitting needs to be streamlined. It needs to be more easily navigated. So I would also look into those areas.
Steve Galloway.
Rather than repeat what everybody else has said about the housing, I also agree with the codes. I think that our codes has gone from being more proactive to one that's reactive now, and in order to get codes to come out to deal with a complaint, somebody needs to make a complaint. They're not being proactive about our issues.
Jim Kennedy.
I would agree housing is probably the most challenging.
Lorraine Martinson.
I want to add one more thing. We really need to look at our police department and bring back community policing. I agree with what the others said, so why repeat it?
Thank you. Carolyn Freeze.
I would also add codes. In particular, if you drive along our business corridors from the north of the city to the south of the city, you see a very distinct difference as you hit Central Avenue and farther south. In particular, the city's doing a decent job. The roads are okay. There's trees in the medians and that sort of thing. But if you look at the buildings down there, there are broken windows. There are things that need to be painted. And being able to get down there and force these business owners to bring their own buildings up to code standards is something that I think will really bring up that area greatly.
And Darden Rice.
Great.
So for sake of variety, I'm going to suggest our Billings and Collections Department that has over 90 full-time employees, costs the city $9 million a year, and we spend, as I understand it, about $1 million a year collecting delinquent water bills. If there's ever a department that is ripe for efficiency, transformation, and saving money, I'm going to look there first.
All right, that is your 8 city council candidates. Thank you so much for participating tonight. Really appreciate that. Okay, we're going to take a very short break, and Bill Foster and Rick Bison will be up here for another 30 minutes of questions.